let's get started. We are going to start today. I'm going to grab a light gray here. I need like a very light gray. I'm going to start with the glove logo. We're gonna work our way up. All right, easier to more complicated. Free hands. Okay. I don't have my glasses and I don't know where they are. Give them a magnifiers. So we want to paint the UFC logo on his glove, right? Get a nice light gray. And I have the logo up. So it's essentially a box, and I've got a black field, right? It's like a black background. So what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to paint every letter exact, I'm going to block in the whole logo as like one big square. Make sure I'm on camera here. And then I'm just going to fill this in. Let me move this slightly so you guys can see. I think it's oftentimes easier to do this, right? So I just get a nice field background, and then I'll paint the negative, right? Because I've got a very empty surface that I can easily go back and delete things, as opposed to trying to paint like a perfect surface. So here I can paint the like block out the letters, and then I can come in and delete the areas I don't want. Hi, Sean. Hello. Neo Roswell. Hi. Hi, Dodge. Thanks for the tier 1. Appreciate it, bud. ¿Qué tal? Estoy bien, ¿y tú? Okay, so, all right, I just want to get this shape correct for, and like a nice clean surface to start, and then I can make adjustments by deleting the parts of the design that I don't want. Right, so I'll come back with black, and I find it sometimes easier to clean up these lines by painting the negative. And I might have to mix like a intermediate gray in parts. Hello, hi. Oh, Hirio. Hirio or Girio? Thanks for the raid. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello from France. Bonjour. Okay, so here we want to get the slant, right? Hi all the new people, Big Kid, Chroma 99, Rough Miniatures, Gear Apollon. Yuria, what were you doing? Well, let's zoom out. Let's show the figure. So here's the figure, right? Where's Mark's? Do I still have Mark's website up? I do. So here's the figure. Also, if you would like to get your own copy of the figure. So done the front and the back, most of the back's done, but I got some small stuff to do. Like I got to finish the hair on the back of his head, but in general, we've painted most of it. So now we are doing tattoos. A tutorial about painting tissues? Curbia Clissangier? I don't know. Hello. Tutorial about painting tissues? Well, we are doing freehands today. So this is going to be all about doing tattoos and little things like that. Oh, fabric. Okay, I'm kind of painting this upside down, but so we need to split this into thirds. All right, so like this. Evening, hello, fabric cloth. New Marshal on Cities of Sigmar. Gotcha. Okay, so here, right, and then we can thicken the line where we need it. Okay. So the logo goes like this because when they hold their hands like this, the logo goes upright. So on this hand, the logo will be right side up. On this one, it's upside down. Okay. And then we can continue to make adjustments where we need. So now this one looks a little skinny. So I can make it just a little bit bigger. Right? And then here I need to do the cut into the C, so I need to paint a little box. And by doing it this way, it's okay if I like, all right, I'll show you. So I can go a little further than what I need, right? I make that C, the cut into the C, a little larger than it needs to be, so that when I come back, now I can come back with the gray and cut that line again and get a really sharp corner, right? So I get that super sharp line. Same thing here if I wanted to extend that a little bit, right? So now that shape's wrong. Hello. Craigslog Studios. Welcome. Right, so now I can follow this line up and get a really sharp line there. Lets me make these really small adjustments. And the MMA is mostly progressed. There's some little work I want to do on it, but okay. Then I can do the same thing with the U. Right, maybe I need slightly more gray in the U. And I can go a little further than I need to, right? I need the reference, what the logo looks like. Okay, by going a little further than I need to, that lets me come back in. And cut across the bottom. Like so. Get that shape nice. Then I can curve over the bottom of the U, and this a lot of times this might require you to flip around the model and find the comfortable positions, but right, so I can round over the bottom of that U shape. And then with the black again, the last one is, I'm actually going to do it this way first. So here I need to match this line of the bottom of the C to the F. Okay, so I get a nice sharp line there. I might have to make a small adjustment. Okay. And this is why it's fine if I go slightly over. It's a back and forth thing, right? You don't have to worry about trying to paint it perfect the first attempt. That's why you can use the background color to erase your mistakes. Okay, and then the last little bit. Come in. Like this. And then I'm going to go the other direction. Like this. So I create that box. And I just fill in the box. So he has UFC written on his glove. And if I need to make any, right, just like before, if I need to make any small adjustments to the thickness of anything, I can come back with the gray. And make very small adjustments. Last little bit is the C is curved on the outside corners. So this is got a little bit of a curve to it. Right? That's not a sharp corner, and this one isn't a sharp corner. So just round off those two corners. And the bottom of this seed looks a little thick. So I can just cut into that line just a tiny bit. Okay. Ta-da! UFC glove, right? Easy enough. I did. I watched the one on Saturday. Enhorabuena de tus nuevos campeón de España. Ilia Tupuria. Thomas. Hello. Tomas Becar. Hi, Tomas. Hoover. Paints. Hello. Yeah. So, how are you? I want to talk about somebody who's really good at painting really tiny stuff. Check out Tomas's Instagram. Okay. Tattoo time. Which one do we want to start with? The eyes on his stomach? So, I'll send you guys the link if you want to see what tattoo we're painting. So we are going to try and draw those eyes. But we have to figure out where on his ribs and those eyes are. So, okay. So the first thing we need a blue. When doing these black and white tattoos, right? I always recommend putting a little blue in it. Black ink tends to turn slightly bluish. Monument Hobbies, hello. Welcome, guys. I like a bit of a flesh tone. It doesn't matter exactly what flesh tone as long as it's roughly close. And then we need pure black. The black is gonna help desaturate. Welcome. Just to be sure that gold has so much black in it because the belt is very reflective, but it isn't. So the reason the black is, or the front plane of the belt. Welcome everyone. Hi, Jason. How you doing? The reason the front of the belt is very black is because when you're in a arena, right, This is inside, right? There's no horizon really to reflect. He's standing in a ring that's all lit, and then the surrounding arena is basically dark. That's why you get this very sharp black frontal plane and then very bright lights from above and reflections this way, and then you get this orange reflection of you get this very orange reflection of his arm and this greenish reflection of the tape of his glove. So all of these, but this is why. If you look at photo reference of someone holding a belt, you'll see that. If they're holding a belt in an arena, not if they're holding a belt in like a photo studio. That's different. You can use ink if you like black ink. For me, it's a little satiny, or it's a little too glossy. Some people like black ink just because of the fluidity. I will just mix a bit of a bit more water. So black and blue give us a nice, right? This is nice and fluid. You can see on my finger how easily this traces off, but it's too light, right? Or it's too black right now. It'll look like a brand new tattoo, right? We want it to be slightly faded so we can add a little bit of the skin tone, maybe a little more blue. That blue and skin tone will give us this nice grayish blue that we can use. Right. This is closer to what we want for like a black and white tattoo. Okay, so the way I do the way anytime I approach a tattoo like this, I want to look at the photo and think of landmarks. All right. So what I want is to think about where his tattoo is. So I see that his tattoo kind of goes to there. And then it's going to come across and come down, and the center of it is like sort of directly below his nipple, like the middle of the two eyes. So it's sort of like this, right? And then you get the other eye like here, and then it wraps around his rib cage. And it's going to foreshorten, so these eyes are going to look smaller just like they do in the photo because it wraps around. So it's going to come over and around like that. And we might actually have to lower this a little more. I'm going to go ahead and come down just a little bit. Right? Good night, Tomas. And then, so this is the corner, but then we'll have this kind of shape of the outside of the eye, curves around and down. And the same thing over here. This curves around and down, and then it'll cut back in, right? So these are all just guide marks. So then I want to create this curve of the eye as it comes up. Right, something like that. Okay. trying to get the thickness right of these, and always making sure that it's wet and refilling. I want the paint to trace like really easily. Okay. Okay, something like that gives me the shape of that eye. Hello, Stale Mimos. Mimos. Lord God and Jess and Tangent. And hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I think this is the most we've ever had in the stream at one time. But everybody just wants to see tattoos, right? Okay, and then he's got some more thickness to the upper eyelid. All right, something like that. And now we can draw the eye. Juan Suarez, hello. Okay, he's got a little dot in the corner of the eye. So just going to be careful here to come around. Leave that hole, right? Buenas noches. Okay, so while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and create a mixture of the skin tone right here. I already have a bunch of similar skin tones, so I just need to find one that's close. Right? I just check it. It might be a little too light. If it's a little too light, that's okay. I can just darken it a little bit. Right, I'll just fill those in, and then I can blend those away if I need. Right, so just use some thin dots to help blend that back in and get rid of those guide marks that I made that are incorrect. Okay, so that's one. And now we do the other one. Same deal. We'll start from the top up here. Come down, create this shape. Okay, like that. And then same deal here. So we need to create this small shape that connects to the eye. Connect there. And then paint this little shape up here. So he's got one, and then there's a second that kind of comes up higher. So this is a pretty easy design, right? There's not a whole lot that's super complicated about this shape. Yeah, it's got some curves and things, but it is not the most complicated tattoo design, right? His other ones, he has his name written on his back across his shoulders, and he has a cross on this arm. Luckily, if you saw that, if you looked at the reference photo of his tattoos, you may have seen the gigantic, very complicated one on under his stomach. Yeah. And oh darn, it's completely hidden by the belt. Oh, that's terrible that we won't have to paint the like Spartan angel Valkyrie thing on his stomach. Darn. Okay. So that is the how I like rough in the shape. Now the last step is going to be to grab some of this flesh tone here, and I need to come in. It's not too bright, but I'm going to take a mix of some of the skin tone here and real thin, right? Like, I'll show you just how much of a glaze this is, right? This is like really glazing. Okay. I'm going to come in and where there is light, so like in the center here on this eye, and maybe even slightly more pink. So anywhere where I have kind of highlights on the skin, I'm just going to softly glaze back over top, and I might have to make some small repairs here and there if that glaze becomes too heavy. But this little soft glaze will help make that tattoo feel like it's under the skin instead of just like drawn on top of the skin, right? So these small little adjustments help unify the tattoo. Okay. If I go too heavy, I can wipe a little off. Something like that. All right. Easy enough. This is much, excuse me. This is a much easier thing to do in very subtle steps than try and like get it right exactly the first time. So just do it really thin and just go over it a few times. And that'll help unify that shape, that design into the flesh tones. And now if we want, where we have like really deep shadows, we can add a little bit more of the black and blue. Not too much, but same kind of deal. Get it nice and thin. And anywhere where it's in like really deep shadow here, like this is kind of deep shadow, I can darken it just a little bit. And with like kind of under here, right here, right there. Right, I can make these small adjustments to add a little depth to the tattoo also. Give some shading and stuff to the tattoo so it matches the form of the body. But yeah, cool. Makes sense. All right, ready to do ready to see the cross? So this one's a bit more complicated, right? Not an easy design. So the idea here, we're going to do the same thing. Combine a little bit of the what we did on the logo, where we paint in the negative, and kind of how we did the eyes, right? The eyes we didn't really have to paint in the negative other than deleting the guide marks that were a little too high. Here we're going to have to like delete some parts that we don't want. So looking at his cross, it kind of goes from here to sort of up in the middle of his shoulder, right? So it's kind of there. And then the other parts of the cross are sort of here. I'm going to make a dot for the middle of the cross, and then it equally spaced on the other side, right? Then we have to create these kind of lines. Right. The best thing I can recommend is that you just take these in little, whenever you're doing stuff like this, just take it in little steps. Bushido 81, hello. Okay. Everything is about just like subtle, if you can do it in steps, right? Use your guide. Okay. Then this shape is going to come basically up, all the way up to the center. And there's some more complicated, like, knot work and stuff around it, but we'll get to that. Right now we're just trying to get the basic form. Right. Dolulami, hello. Okay. Same here. Right. This line goes towards the point. This one goes towards the bottom. No, there's not that much paint in the brush. Look, there's like barely any on the... Okay, then these all come down and connect towards the center. Right? All right, so like that. Right? So now we've got just an outline. Who's that? Jago Arts, hello. Welcome. So now we need to fill it in. And I'm trying to see exactly how his tattoo kind of is. There's some parts of it that I don't really understand, but that's okay. I think it's got like a fleur-de-lis sort of thing at the bottom. It's a little weird. Here, we'll do this. Okay, so it's kind of filled in here. And I'm going to do some glaze here to not fill it in completely. I don't want it like black because it's got some sort of soft shading to it. Okay. So like this, I can let a little bit of that skin show through. No, I'm good. I don't think I want to do that. And I'm going to make an adjustment here. I'm just going to go ahead and start because the tattoo is as long as I want. I'm going to start the next part of his of the cross. That it kind of comes like this. And here, and then it comes out. Okay, the center section can be a little darker. I'm going to mix a little more skin tone here where the skin's a little more in light. So it's shaded and filled in, but it's not as black as the outline. All right, something like this. Whether I can do it or it's not the question of if I can, it's whether I want to. And I don't think I really want to try to paint this tattoo on a figure that small. And that Gotrek model is tiny. Okay. So the next deal. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this pink and I'm going to make this skin tone again. And I'm looking at the tattoo. And I'm going to make some more marks here. So there is these like vines that come up and around. So they start here in kind of the corner. I need to make sure this is nice and fluid also. And they kind of come down and out. And I'll paint the rest of them here in a second. And then these are going to do the same. And this curve continues down and then crosses over like this. Right? So we get this kind of helix shape. And then they come up and they do the same thing up here. It's okay if this is not perfect because I have to do the outlines on these also. So what I'm going to end up doing is coming back around and doing these sort of again. And then these sort of come like this. and like this. Right, and then they go up and over the shoulder. And they sort of go like this and come up and over. Okay. Oh, as an MMA fan, do you recognize this tattoo? Because this is a real guy's tattoo. We're basing this on the... Yeah. This is, these are his real tattoos. Okay. So we get our dark mixture again. Go C's and V Bespo. Hello. All right. So this one goes over. Right. So if we have to paint one that goes over, we need to do that one first. So we paint this line, right? You got it. Okay, so see how now it crosses first. And then there's thorns. Which one crosses next? Did they really do it that way? That's weird. So this one crosses over. And then right here towards kind of the outside of this curve, it's got a little thorn. Right. And then we continue that line. Right. Making sure that the paint is flowing nicely. Always making sure the paint is got a nice flow to it, right? That is the most important thing. Again, comes out. Comes down, curves out to create the thorn, and cuts back in, like so. It's often easier to do the line kind of thin, and then you can come back and thicken the line up to how you need it, right? So you do it a little maybe thinner than you need at first. And then you can add some thickness to the line. To create the exact line thickness you need. So here now, right, maybe it got a little thick here, so we can come back in with the skin tone, paint the negative space. Paint the negative space. Right. And don't forget to breathe. Okay. So that's kind of the bottom of his tattoo. And then we've got to sort of repeat that process on the 4 arms. Yeah, breathing is pretty important, I would say. Okay. And if we want, we can mix a little lighter color here to create some further like shading effects, so we can come in. Something like that. All of these little small adjustments add up. Okay. Create the kind of top line here of these knots. Right, create those outlines. Okay, something like so. All right, same deal applies with the, like we did before, right? So some of these are kind of messy, and the line thickness, unless you're trying to paint a bad tattoo purposely, some of this line thickness is incorrect. So we have to come in and basically find a skin tone that matches, and we delete some of the line. Right. It's easier to get a nice, perfect, thin line doing it this way. Where we paint both sides of the line than trying to necessarily get a perfectly thin line the first time. You're not going to get a perfectly thin line the first time. Right. You might accidentally do it too big. And then you'll have to come back in with a skin tone. And make small repairs. And that's fine. Because not everybody's perfect. If you can paint a perfectly thin line with a nice point on it every single time, then good for you. You're a robot. Okay, so we've got kind of the top and bottom of the tattoo. Now we need to do the other arms. And these are a little different. So here, they kind of go on top. These are a little odd. So here they sort of they actually sort of start like right here, and then they kind of curl up and out, and then this line continues down here, and they sort of surround it. So they kind of go like this. It'll make more sense when I paint the outline. And then there's another little thorn. And the outline continues like this. Then there's two little thorns on the bottom. I'm just going to give myself some space for them, and then I'll just paint them in. Okay. So let's fix these. Right, so this comes down, this goes up and over. I'll Albi stream? Able stream? No, Albi. Thanks. Okay. So it's got a little thorn like this. Right? And then there's another little thorn on this corner. Like so. And then this one has two little thorns. Hi, Helion TV. All right, so this is not fluid enough. So mix up some more. If you're not super confident in like getting this mixture right every time, just, you know, make a bigger mixture at the beginning. Okay, so he's got something like that. Then I'm going to adjust these widths to make sure that they're all the same. And then I've got to do that same design on the other side. And then that's the end of this tattoo after the small adjustments to like glazing to make it feel like it's part of the body. But and any other like here, I think I want to make these a slightly more curved. I can add a little like pointiness to the small adjustments to adjust the curvature and the pointiness of the design. Right. Anybody got any questions? Once again, everyone's just, you know, it's super easy. You got it, right? No problem. Honestly, if you take it in steps and you make you know, the small adjustments here and there that you need. It's really not that difficult of a process. Use guide marks. Make your small adjustments here and there. I'm not even yet planning. The planning part of it, well, planning could include, you know, just finding good photo reference or designing your own, right? Like if you want to do your own tattoo designs, just sketching it out beforehand. I have a reference to go off of, so I don't have to do that part, but all of those things can definitely help you to kind of simplify this stage. Right. Makes it seem a little more difficult than it really is. Right. Then you just keep cleaning up. No, I'm not using any kind of retarder or anything. If it helps you, like you can. You might want to try using just a bigger brush with like a nice point. Like I often find that helps. Right? Like this is a size 1. I could do this with even like a size 3 is fine, right? As long as it's got a good point on it. Right? This is a size 3 brush. There's absolutely nothing stopping me from using a nice bigger brush to do this, as long as it's got a good point on it. Right? So like here. You don't need a 000 or whatever to paint tattoos. If I could do it with a size 3. So can you. How did I mess this up? Oh, that's what I did wrong. Okay. See, so I goofed. This was supposed to come out more up here. And then come down. And then there was supposed to be another thorn like right here. So I just have to fix it. And that's okay. So make the marks to prepare for the outlines. Yeah, and then this came across, and there was another thorn. There's another thorn like this. So I'll have to fix that. Okay, just like that. And then we just have to clean up. And I want this to come up a little more. I want that line to be a little sharper and pointier. How often should I be rechecking my reference? I mean, I have my reference up while I'm looking at it. I don't necessarily need it for this because it's symmetrical design. So once I have one side, my reference is now on the other side. So I can just make it match the other side. Hi, Mark. Got the eyes too. This tattoo is so dumb. Sorry, Justin. So that's a weird one. Just have him. Okay. So back again. Now we take, right? Glazing time. This needs to be real thin. Right? We want barely any. Just super, super soft. Okay. And anywhere where it's in light, we're just going to take some of this skin tone. See ya. We're just going to soften the tattoo in the light. If you weren't here for earlier, the point of this is to make it feel like it's under the skin. Right? Newer tattoos are going to be the colors and the blacks are going to be richer. But the older a tattoo is, the more it starts to fade away and feel kind of under the skin, right? So I like to just glaze some lights across the top. And then here in the shadows, I can do kind of the same thing. Just glaze back over top of it. And then if I need to make any adjustments once I've done that, like here, I don't want that to be that sharp. And any parts of the tattoo where it's like really in shadow, right? Just like we did on the eyes. So like back here, right? This is starting to get a little more into shadow. Here I can darken the tattoo just a touch. Add some hints of like a darker tone in the shadow areas. Okay. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe. Everyone thinks it's real easy. Because it is. It should be. Don't sweat it. Striker, are you asking me how much paint water you got to drink? Just don't drink your paint water. That's gross. I think that depends, Christian. If I was doing his stomach tattoo, like the huge one that goes like all across his whole stomach, maybe I wouldn't. I would probably just paint the tattoo directly on, and then I would probably glaze in. I would probably paint it like all in light, and then just glaze in shadows and maybe some highlights. Because it like why paint the whole? Why paint like try and paint perfect skin if you're gonna cover the whole thing in a tattoo? It just doesn't make sense. I might sketch the volumes of the skin first just to give myself like an idea of where the lights and shadows are going to go later, but that way I'm not like searching for the volumes. But yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use the restroom real quick and take a quick break, and I will be back in a couple minutes, and we'll do the lettering across his back. Let's see. Time to paint his back tattoo. You guys want the reference photo for his back tattoo also? There you go. So you can follow along. All right. So the T is right. It basically goes across his shoulder blade. Right. So it's like up here. So here's how we're going to do this. First, we're going to mix up our tattoo color again. So the E is probably going to be cut off. But the T, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the letters. So we know the T is going to go like right here. And we'll do the top of the T like here. All right, so this is the center of the T. Then the middle of the E is going to go like right here. Actually, let's do the G. So the G is going to go like here somewhere. And the top of the G will go like there. The A is kind of here and here. And then the top of the A will be like this. And then we'll do the corners of, kind of the corners of the E. So the E will be like here, 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 and here. So all these little dots just like help me kind of follow the shape. No, man, you just do it, you know? No fear. Right? And then the T will go like this and this. So that's kind of our T. And then the H will be here and here. And then kind of down here. Here. And then the J, the bottom of the J will go like here. and then start like up here and go across, and then the E is going to be cut off. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint the lines. So this is the top of the A. Oh no, actually that's the top of the E. So this is the top of the E. I'm going to mix a little more pink into this. And then this is the bottom of the E. Okay, the point here is that it's, if you make all these little guide marks, it makes all this way less intimidating, right? Because you know if the layout works, then it's not going to be so hard to create these shapes, right? So here we know that the T comes across all the way to here, and then comes down pretty far. Right, something like that. Just use your guides, yeah? Right, so something like that for the A. And the G is a little harder. With the G, we got to create this outside curve, right? And then it curves back up and then kind of comes down in a line like this. And then there's the straight line here. This part of the G is pretty high. Goes like this. Kind of connects. How's that? Okay, so it kind of goes just like this. Paint the serifs. Right. So we're getting something. The lower part of the E goes like so. Same with the upper part of the E. Then it does another little triangle like so. Okay. We've basically already got the T, but the T goes like this shape. I think the lower part of the T here actually needs to come down slightly, but we can fix that. Remember, it's all like warped by the shape of his back anyways. Yeah. Certainly can. Okay, and the serif here cuts in a little, comes down, cuts back out, comes across. Now I'm just going to paint the line across the bottom of the H because the separation is like almost non-existent. It's kind of one big shape that they kind of do this, and we can fill in or remove that gap later. I wouldn't do it with a pencil, maybe with like a watercolor pencil. I wouldn't want to get graphite on here because it can be kind of weird. Okay, so there's your H. Make a small adjustment to the bottom of the H. I think I want the H to be just a little wider. Yeah, something like that. And then the J. J's weird. J kind of goes like this. And comes up straight like so. And the J doesn't have a huge serif across the top, so it'll go like this, and then it curves way down. It cuts in like that. All right. So basically I got the outline. And then the E is underneath is the belt. I'm saying the shape of the J here is weird compared to the other letters. Not how I would have assumed the serifs on that J would have been, considering the shape of the G. Okay. A serif is these things. These are serifs. The little like bits that come off it. You have serif or sans serif. Sans serif meaning without serifs. A sans serif font is like the Vallejo, right? It doesn't have the little, or the game color. That's a sans serif font. And a serif font is like Times New Roman. Or the model color is a serif font. It has little, like the little lines that go on the bottom of the M. These are serifs. Hell yeah, man. Dude, do you know what the spacing in between letters is called kerning? It's almost like I did that for years. All right, so now we're just coming back and we're cleaning up a little, sharpen up some of these lines. All right, just use the skin tone to make little adjustments. Okay, all right, so I'm looking at how his tattoos kind of are. And there is they fade from top to bottom, but they also have a drop shadow. So we've got to come in and kind of create a fade as they go down. So the bottom, I'm just going to fill in most of the bottom of the letters. About halfway up, they kind of start to fade out. I'll just fill it in. This cowboy font. Right, something like that. And then I'm going to mix some more skin tone and begin to, right, as it starts to come up, so like halfway, it starts to get a little brighter. And then at the top, it almost completely fades out to just skin tone. So just very small amount of the black. Air quotes that black. It's not a proper black. Okay, so something like that, right? Okay, so the next thing to do is we want to clean up some of these lines. Right. We can get some of this fading right. Okay. All right, so let's come back in with a skin tone. And then we're gonna clean up some of the negative space where the lines got a little messy. Right, we want to remove the connection point here and here. These need to be very thin across the top. And whatever, move it around so you're comfortable, right? Like if the brush, if you feel like you can cut in one way a little easier, feel free to do that. The whole point is we're trying to clean up the lines, right? Make them nice and super thin. Okay. And on both sides. Right, so the top of that T is really thin. See you later. Okay, and then we're going to come back with the dark color. All right, we slowly just make small adjustments. Till we get it to the exact shape we want. So I am going to glaze back over top of this. This will get pulled back a little bit. It will be lighter because it is facing upwards. I'm just trying to get the gradient right for right now. But yeah, similar to the arm tattoo over here, we're gonna pull some of this back up. But we've got to do some three-dimensional effects on it first. But I get the letters to be the right shape. Okay, so something like this, right? The E's a little wrong. All right, just clean that up. Get these letters nice and sharp. And then we can do fun stuff. All right, so you if you're looking at the reference, there's two things that are kind of missing from the tattoo. One is the drop shadow, and the other is a kind of highlight that gives the letters some shape on the outside. And we are going to do both of those. So let's start with the highlight. So again, we're going to grab the skin tone. And along the top left inside edge, we're going to use that skin tone to kind of erase the black. All right, so you see how we create just that little highlight? I'm going to switch to the smaller brush for this. Okay. Same deal on the A. That gives us kind of three-dimensional effect. It's just like painting an edge highlight. Okay. So we create the little highlight on the tattoo. All right, now the tough part. Okay. That was the easy part. This is the tough part. We now have to paint a drop shadow on each one of the letters. Which means going around the bottom right of each letter and painting a little dark outline on each one. All right, so what we have to do is leave a little gap that separates the tattoo from the skin. Like so. Got it? You can do this. Anyone can do it. I believe in you. Dude, I've had the glasses the whole time. For things like tattoos, yeah, I gotta have them. It's too small and too like refined of a process. Like it just takes a little bit more, you know, more than what my eyes can see on their own. But just have patience. And don't be afraid to mess up, because even here on the T, where there's like a tiny little mess up, I can come back with the skin tone and just place a little dot or clean up that shape. Right? Pixel Savage is it's just about I mean this is definitely a practice thing, like having this sort of brush control to paint these lines, but having a good, like having your hands supported properly, all those little, any little trick you can do to help yourself. And a good brush, like don't use a garbage brush for this. Like you're just going to cause yourself frustration doing that. Messed up a little there, and that's fine, because I can fix it. Actually, I'm looking at it, and they don't really do this. I think I might delete this part on each one. I don't know. I kind of leave that part off. It's funny, the E has it, but then they don't do it on the H and the T. So, I don't know. Need this thicker though. And get some good coverage. Kind of just do it like that. A is a weird one, and the G, but anyways. Yeah, it's like a highlight there instead. So I can just like taper it out. Maybe have this come out a little more. But that doesn't have to be exact. It is originally just for fun for the stream. I mean, I've had some offers to buy it. No, I tagged him in the post. He didn't respond. Notice me, senpai. Come on, Justin. What up? I doubt he runs his own Instagram anyways. It's very likely that he has some social media manager. Exactly. All right, now the J. I saved myself the headache of having to paint one E. Oh, lucky day. Okay. And I think I'll maybe thicken a couple of the ones on the very bottom up a little bit. Just make them a little wider for kind of the effect. Okay. Say you have to go over a line or edge to thin down 4+ times. Where are you touching it up? If the paint starts to build up there, are ways to reduce that, or you glaze over to smooth it out? Yeah, the H does, but I'm not. There could be like one right there. But all right, give me a second. I'll let the paint dry on the brush. You're talking about right here. The little gap. What was the question? The question was, so I want it to be fluid but not thin, because I don't want to have to paint over the same line a whole bunch of times. If I make a mark like I want, see, that's too thin. So paint consistency is like quite important, because you want it to be thick enough to cover, but thin enough that it's fluid and you get like you can paint a nice line without having to go over it multiple times. Okay. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. There you go. Hi, Mad Cat Art. So we got the one on the stomach, we got the one on the arm, the one on the back. Now, same process on the back, okay? So with a bigger brush, all right. In the highlight areas, we thin it nice and thin, get most of it off so that we create like a glaze, right? And then anywhere where the muscles are really highlighted, we just want to glaze over the top. Okay, let it dry. And then do it again. Okay, we don't want to delete what we've done. We're just trying to tie it into the skin a little bit more, right? Particularly the A and the G right here, where they're like quite a bit in light, those get a little bit heavier of a glaze. Okay, so with the glaze, it kind of pulls it back into the skin a little bit, and we get a nice soft appearance to it, and it feels like it's part of the skin. right? Everybody can do that, easy enough. We can take some of the shadow tone too if we want. We can do it this way. Okay. Ta-da! Tattoos and freehand. So, gotta do a little UFC on his stomach and the other UFC on this glove. But that's about it for the freehand. I showed you. I mean, the UFC for these two are literally the same exact thing as doing this. Except this one's going to be a pain because it's like halfway under his belt. But any questions on this guy? You guys all make sense? No questions? Cool.